Hey yo everyone! Welcome to the launching of our mini series of Summer CF podcast. Yay! So my name's Hannah, and I'll be your host for the very first episode today. We started out this idea of a podcast in hopes of being able to bring a little encouragement, a little comfort, hopefully some laughs, and some relatable reminders as Christians in uni to all of you blessed people, wherever you may be, whether you're with your family or not with family, we're with you. So with this pandemic, we know it might be harder than ever for some of us to maintain our spiritual walk with Christ, or to stay hopeful in our trust with God, or even to remember that none of us are struggling alone in this. And particularly in today's podcast, we're gonna let you guys in on some insider info, like what really goes on behind the scenes, the struggles of switching from physical to online fellowship, and hey, lots more. And who would be better at describing these things than those from our beloved last committee? Let's welcome our super special guests today, Hanz, Stephanie, and Faith.
Woohoo! Hello.
Hello.
Yep. So for some of you who don't know who these three are, they are from our last committee, 2020/2021 committee. Hans was the Christian Education Officer in CF, and fun fact, he was also the president for the committee the year before that. Stephanie was our last evangelism officer, and Faith was our last welfare officer. So yes, let's welcome them. So the first question goes to Hans. Could you give us a short summary of what the role of CEO or evangelism officer generally is in CF?
Yeah, hi, my name is Hanz. So CEO. So CEO basically stands for Christian Education Officer. And the primary role, I guess, is to identify and meet the needs of discipleship within a CF, right? So that's where the practical things such as the online and the physical library comes, and also the recordings, CF recordings, CG recordings, and the recaps, etc. Things like that are the more set things that is under CEO. And you have the more flexible things also, which varies from term to term or year to year. So previous years, or the year or 2 years ago, there was more of like issues regarding mental health. And last year, when we were in the committee, it was more of equipping, in a sense, showing discipleship what that really is, right? Through Ask a Christian, through how to prepare a Bible study, the workshop, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's a short summary.
Before this podcast started, Hans asked the question, what is your definition of short summary when I give a definition of CEO later? And yes, that was perfectly concise, Hans. Thank you.
Thank you. Hope they were short enough. Yeah.
So like our content on Instagram, does the CEO usually like help with writing it in concise points on Instagram?
Usually what the CEO does is more of just checking and going through the materials instead of generating them. I mean, of course, if he or she decides to can also. But usually that's the case also like for social media, the ones who would be the main content creators would be like Cristela in the previous committee, the PRO. And then for like CG materials, that one was a bit special. So I was a part of that as well, and along with the CG coordinator and other people as well. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that is CEO in the CF committee. Thanks, Hans. Now let's hear it from Stephanie on what evangelism officer does in CF.
Okay, I think mine will be shorter than Hans. Okay, so evangelism officer, mainly the main aim is to reach out to people in uni, so like students or staffs or even like workers there, and we mainly cater to new or non-viewers, and so we have a different kind of events or even workshops where we will reach out to them, and we mainly share about like the fundamentals of Christian faith. So yeah, basically preaching the gospel is the main thing about what the EO does.
Ah, I see. And like the last year you did introduce Alpha, the Alpha program to CF, right?
Yeah, it was for 2 semesters.
Yeah, that was a pretty good idea because some of us didn't really know what Alpha was all about. And yeah, in the name itself, evangelism officer, that was a great start to the beginning of that. Okay, thanks, Steph. Last but not least, let's get Faith. Could you help summarize what a welfare officer does in the CF?
Yeah. Okay. So I would say that a welfare officer mainly, well, it's in the name. It takes care of the welfare of the CF and the well-being of like the members as well, lah. And so to get into the more technical stuff, we take care of like attendance, and back when it was still physical, yeah, we take care of like ushers, yeah, and then the MCs and everything, and we ensure that the needs of the CF are met where in this year like I had a welfare team just like for people to like follow up on like people who were not so regular, and after that we branched more into like the people who were regular, yeah, just to catch up with people and like see if they need like any help or just someone to talk to, yeah, I use this term frontliner maybe because of like MCO and everything like with COVID, yeah, I use that term like with my team, uh, which is, yeah, we're basically like the frontliners of CF lah.
Ah, and of course, there's also a very important bit when we had physical CF. There were Mamak sessions.
Yes, yes. So
We missed that the most.
it has like a special place in my heart, even though I didn't go for a lot of Mamak sessions. But yeah, it was a place where I really got to bond with people.
Yeah, exactly. You put it so well. Mamak sessions have a place in our heart.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Faith. So yes, that was a run through of 3 of the committee positions that we have in CF. If you guys like to know more, we do have a post about it on our Insta page, so you guys can go check that out. And yeah, before we go into the actual questions, we have a short ice-breaking session for you guys. Yeah, I'm so excited for this.
Yeah.
We collected questions from this year's committee and last year's committee to do this icebreaker. And it's called Fill in the Blanks. So yes, the FCOM edition. I'm going to give you guys a statement and there's going to be a blank on that. I'm going to give you guys 4 options and you guys can choose which one you guys think is correct. You guys
Okay.
good?
Okay.
So literally fill in the blank. So let's give an example. Next year, it will be CF's blank anniversary.
Oh my gosh.
A,
Oh.
50th anniversary. B, 10th anniversary. C, 15th anniversary. And D, 20th anniversary.
When do we say the answer?
Whenever. So it's like first come, first serve. The first person who gets it
Oh,
just gets it.
Bang.
Is there a price now?
Donkey. D.
Yeah, you guys can just say it out because you guys are technically
Stephanie,
one team here.
The 20th anniversary.
Hanz
20.
20 before
20.
Stephanie.
What do you think, Faith?
20th.
And you guys are right. That was the 20th anniversary for next year.
Yes.
So yeah, so that's how the game is gonna go. If you guys need me to repeat anything, yeah, just let me know. Okay, the next thing's quite interesting. Okay, blank has a huge display of his name in his Zoom background, just in case other people don't know him or can't read his name. A, Abel. B, Ison. C, Hanz. And D, Brandon.
I have no idea.
Wow, me neither.
The answer is C.
Yes, Hanz, do you want to show us the example?
If this happens to go on YouTube, right? So just to show you guys what they are talking about, which is totally not narcissistic.
It's a great job, guys. You guys are doing great so far.
I studied
Okay.
all night for this.
Okay, here's the next question. When committee meetings get too long, Abel, blank. So A uses zoom filters so he can cover his eyes and sleep without being noticed. B takes showers that can only last 5 minutes. C starts getting hungry and searches for snacks. D sprays water on his eyes to keep awake. Which do you guys think is the answer?
I feel it's neither.
It's neither. Are they all too bizarre or too mainstream?
B, I think Abel is B.
Yeah, I think it would be.
And
Yeah.
Hans is C. He's the one that
Yes.
does the mukbang.
Hans is
I am A. I don't sleep though. It's like I have it on my eyes so that they can't see where I'm looking at.
Oh, pro tips, guys. Pro tips from your last committee. Okay, so Stephanie votes for user zoom filters. Hans votes for which one again, Hans?
Towering.
Showering. And Faith votes for none, right?
Sorry.
Showering too. Okay, it's quite funny because when I asked Abel for this, because he gave me this actual fact himself, he said that the whole committee knows this and that he has no shame to reveal it. So the answer is actually when committee meetings get too long, Abel A uses zoom filters to cover his eyes.
Oh my gosh.
Without being
What?
You really didn't notice.
I
Sorry,
gave him the tips. So I was like, is there like an all of the above option? Because he doesn't only put the eye filter, he covers his eye with his hand like this. Or his
That's cute.
camera, like the webcam is like this side, right? Like on the right. So he can like tilt his head so you can't see him.
Clearly, we know now where Stephanie's attention is at during meetings.
Yeah, so good job. Good job getting that out, Stephanie. The answer was A.
You betrayed Abel when you're hearing this.
Here's the next question. Pun Master, because if you all don't know, there's been a history of Pun Masters in the CF committee for quite a while now. Pun Master Award for this committee goes to A. Jeremiah, B. Gabriel, C. Hans, and D. Kakit.
Did this person give themselves the award?
I don't think the person gave themselves the award. If the person did, then I don't know what the answer is already.
Okay, so Hans, I'm assuming you're going for C. Hans, right?
Okay lah, no lah. Let's be humble a bit lah. I think it's maybe Jeremiah lah.
Well, I do
Jeremiah,
admit
I would
in
say,
our
is
committee.
the best growth in puns. Like from zero, and now he's like, punning already. And like, oh, I'm proud.
I'm not sure if you should be encouraging this right now. You have no idea our own committee meetings. What he says in our committee meeting. Okay, so Hans goes for Jeremiah. What about you two?
It's Hans believable if Hans is not the answer. So it's Hans.
Nice one,
So
Steph.
Stephanie
Yeah,
votes for
actually,
Hans.
Steph also quite good.
How about you, Faith?
I go for Jeremiah.
Jeremiah
Maybe
too.
because I interacted with him more. And then throughout our entire Easter chat, it was all puns. I was just like, yeah, anyways, yes.
Okay, you guys give pretty accurate answers because the most popular vote for this was that Hans was the OG pun master and he's handing it down to Jeremiah for this committee.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So yes, I admit you did a good job, I suppose. Okay, so here is the last question for this, and it involves two people here. Steph and Hans sometimes dash for everyone during meeting breaks. A, make small talk. B, explain their life story. C, dance. And D, crack lame jokes, specifically with puns.
That's a very hard question.
Wait.
Yeah, it seems like you do like all of the above sometimes.
Yes.
All of the above.
If that's
Yeah,
all.
well.
Yeah.
How about you, Faith?
I kind of agree though. But I would say like if I really had to pick an answer, it's either C or D. And I don't know which one to take.
Hey,
Okay, so
my
it's
jokes are
either-
not lame.
So either dance or crack lame jokes, right?
Mm.
Okay, so the answer that was originally given was dance. And before this podcast started, we saw it very evidently in Gabriel's Zoom background,
Yes.
the effort it took to achieve that. But yeah, you guys do help with cracking lame jokes. Lame being a very personal preference and opinion. But yes, crack jokes. So thank you guys. That was our little icebreaker before we get into the questions for this podcast. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So now we're going to go into the actual questions itself that we have collected from this year's committee and also from our members that are active on Instagram. So we collected questions from them that they want to ask specifically to the whole committee, like so you guys can sort of like speak with that in mind, sort of thing. So here's the first question. What is your favorite Chinese stall dish?
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh, that's
How do we
Favorite
speak for
Chinese
the-
stall dish?
How do we speak for the committee as a whole?
Okay, at least this one's a personal preference lah.
Okay.
You speak for the whole of UNM.
For me, my usual hack is for like a dish for the price of less than 6 ringgit. Yeah, it's usually like a weird 580 or something like that. I get like 1 meat and 2 vegetables. So like 1 vegetable, whatever the vegetable is, and then it's usually the chicken with brown sauce, and then the eggs or tofu, which is not vegetables, but yeah.
When you said chicken with brown sauce, in my mind I could see it right in front of me. Exactly what it looks like when you're lining up. Okay, what about you guys?
I think buttermilk chicken, like the standard one. But that's if I have the money to afford it. Or else I just go at the time where she would give free food and she gets me and then she gives me and I'm like, thank you, auntie, I love you.
Auntie is so kind. And uncle so kind too. They're both so kind.
Yeah.
How about you, Faith? You have to think
always think
very
like
hard.
1 meat and 1 veggie. The veggie I usually try to pick green ones, but sometimes I go there, right? No green veggie one, you know. I go there, it's like everything is brown. I'm like, um, so, yeah, like brownish, orange. I don't know, depending on how you want to call the color. Okay. And I think they had fried fish? I think like the fillet. I
Mm.
think so. Yeah, and usually I take broccoli or cauliflower guac.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they always have
Yeah.
broccoli.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that was an important question. All right, next important question. Who had the most iconic Zoom backgrounds during meetings? This is a pretty hard one, I think. Last comm was pretty big on Zoom backgrounds.
Abel with his cat. His cat
Yeah,
was
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
nodding one.
Yeah. I
You
think
look
that was
at
the most
that
memorable
nodding
one.
cat. Okay, actually, I have it. You guys want
I
to
think
see
my
it?
choice would be Christelle. Like her background is a burning room.
Yeah.
So she's
Oh.
always in a burning room.
Oh, is it that meme?
Yeah, the it's fine. That one. The one with the dog.
Oh, nice one, Christelle.
Same with Faith. The most memorable one for me was when Abel started using the cat one, the cat nodding to the music, that one. Yeah. That was the first
And
time I
the
saw,
other
wow, a
meme.
background can move. Wow.
So 2 votes for Abel. Abel, if you're hearing this, you are voted most iconic Zoom background for last year's call. Okay. Okay, so that goes to Abel. Now here's the next question, and it's a little bit more serious this time. Why did you guys decide to join the committee in the first place? Because you had to go through a whole process and actually decide and say, yes, I do want to go for the committee, right?
For me, I think that it allows you to have like a platform to serve lah. And like because I only had 3 years in uni, so like when this opportunity comes, like yeah, to make the best out of it. because being in a leadership position, you get to equip and influence more people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my reason.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Like you said, we have only 3 years in uni, and this is a platform where we can serve, right? What about Hans and Faith?
I think mine is more or less like Steph as well, because I know that for my third year, I'm probably not going to be in Malaysia, and I just wanted to kind of give back to the CF, because for my first year, like in CF, I got to meet like-minded Christians, because I would say like I don't really have a lot of Christian friends around me somehow. Yeah, at least close ones, ones that I can really relate to and talk to really well. So it was my way of, I'm thinking of the Chinese word 报答, but I can't remember. Not 报答 lah, but 报答 is just like the word that pops in my mind. If someone can help me translate, yeah, translate. But like give back, the most accurate word that I can think of right now. Yeah, because CF really means quite a lot to me. Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, you can sum it up in 2 words, I guess. to all of us who joined the committee, definitely give back is definitely one of the reasons that we go in. Yeah. What about Hans?
For me, so I'll speak in a returning comms perspective. I think one of the reasons why I wanted to return was because my first year of serving in the committee was a really great experience. But there were still some things that we needed a bit of help in and things like that. We needed a bit of support in and things like that. So I think that was one of the motivations for me to serve again in the coming committee to return. That is to help and in a sense support that current year's committee, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess also like similar to what Faith and Steph said, right? Like that this is such a great platform for us to be serving God together, and not just to give back to the community, but also to give back to God lah, in response to what He has shown. And I think coming from a background where expressing my Christian faith wasn't readily available, so I think it's a great opportunity to have CF, right, and of course other Christian platforms out there to maintain it and to let other people experience it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, really, when you are just a member or when you're in the committee, it's your relationship with God and your view of like your religion does change a little bit, or not, maybe not change, but open up to definitely more views, right? Yeah. I think what Hans said was like true in terms of the returning comm, because for me, our current returning comm, like Gabriel, Ison, and Jeremiah, they're very encouraging to look to. We don't know the answers sometimes, and they have the answers. So yeah, what Hans said was so true, so supportive, that kind of thing. Yes. So thanks, guys. Here's the next question. What was the biggest difference or difficulty between physical and virtual CF? Because all three of you here were in physical CF and then changed suddenly to virtual.
So I think what I'm going to say is a difference and a difficulty, which is the manner in which we relate to others or disciple others in our CF context. Because in physical CF, right, people are just like there right in front of you. You know, it's very easy to have conversations, have small talk, and have those catch-ups that you want to. But like having it virtually, it is very difficult to reach out in that sense, because in your head it's like, oh, I need to put an extra effort in having another call with another person when I'm already on so many calls in a day. For me that's the biggest difference and difficulty from physical and virtual CF.
Yeah, relatable. Reaching out is really a bit.
I guess like mine is similar. Like the biggest difficulty is forming friendships, because I think compared to online, like I formed fewer new friendships than when it's physical. Like even physical, right? Even if they attend CF like one or twice, like we could actually have like a friendship outside of CF, like to journey with them and ask like how are they doing and stuff. But if it's online, maybe if they attended like once, it's hard for you to like catch up with them also. Yeah.
All of our answers are very similar. Like mine is also similar. Okay, I think I'll start with difference first. One difference is I don't know the heights of my new CG members, like the people that like you just know, right? Yeah. We our CG, we were just talking about it. We were just like, okay, finally see you guys with legs. Yeah, because like no, because like I don't know. I try to imagine people standing up, right? Because you don't see them on screen. On screen, you just see like their top halves, right? So you don't know how tall they are. So I don't know if they're taller than me or like shorter than me, but most probably taller than me. Like, I'm very short than me. But yeah, that's one difference. I don't know. Sometimes I'm just like, what if one day I like finally see everyone in person? I'm like everyone around me is like two heads taller than me. But yeah, I don't know. I just keeps me up sometimes. But yeah, a difficulty. Yeah, definitely. The need to be intentional, lor. Like for even for my CG, like we only managed to bond because we had our devotions like on a separate day than on Wednesday. And after our devotions, we'll just start talking and then maybe we'll play a game, something like that. And so you have to like not purposefully approach people. You have to like always constantly like take the extra step where like in physical meetings you can just always like you guys said lah, you can just walk up to them. You can just like oh how are you, etc. It's, it's just different now, of course.
Yeah, I think especially during MCO, we sort of come to realize the importance of fellowship, how much that really affects our walk and how easier it does make. Yeah. Thank you. So here's the next question. What motivates you guys to keep building CF and your faith despite being virtual? Because that's kind of tough, especially during MCO.
For me, is Christ and His command. Like God is the main reason that motivates me, and all I see is that a change in our circumstances shouldn't be like an excuse to stop serving.
Hmm.
Besides, I already mentioned before that I only have 3 years here. Maybe you guys have a few years here only in uni, and we are able to be in a position to reach out to others where pastors from our church can't do. So like, why not make the most out of my time here?
Mm.
I think it kind of goes back to giving back as well. It's kind of like because I've received so much, like having like found this Christian community that accepts me. So I feel like I just want to do the same, like people. I kind of had that mindset when I stepped into the community as well, lah. Just to do the same for others, like new people who come in, you know.
Yeah, almost the same things lah as Stephanie and Faith, I guess. So initially, right, the motivation was strong because I thought that MCO was gonna end super soon. So I'll be like, okay, it's gonna be virtual for a while, so it's fine, but we will still come back together to enjoy physical CF, and that's such a great and beautiful thing to look forward to. But slowly, as the months passed, that sort of faded away. But the motivation is definitely still there to continue building up the CF, serving, just being a part of it lah, even though we're not in committee anymore. And I think that comes from combination of what Stephanie and Faith said, right? Because of what God has given. As a response, we want to serve the community that we have been given, be faithful where we are. And also, I guess it's because also like we have experienced this community. We have experienced what it's like to belong somewhere, and we want to now create this space for others so that they can enjoy this platform also, I think. Yeah,
I think you guys put it very nicely because I think a lot of people will be able to relate to that, like switching suddenly from physical to virtual. Some of them have been virtual all throughout, which is crazy. I cannot see from their point of view. So yeah, what you guys said was really true. So next question. Oh, this is it's a little risky question. Were there any conflicts in the comm that at that time seemed pretty tense, but it's actually pretty funny now? So more like how did you guys deal with conflicts between like people whom you want to work together with, and then you have the same goals, but conflicts are sometimes inevitable.
Tea right now.
come on, Steph, spill the tea. It's in your name.
Come.
Yeah, where's the tea? Give us the tea.
No, you guys go first.
I'll give a general one because I don't know much about any conflicts, but yeah, I guess there weren't any huge arguments lah. Probably sometimes when when we're still new. Yeah, that's the one thing also like being virtual, right? We don't see each other while we are working together as a committee, and that's like extra hiccups lah from there. And I think when we were still trying to understand how each other worked, there were some conflicts here and there, I guess, in terms of work ethics and understanding each other. Yeah, it's like a super general thing. So I can leave the both of them to explain more if they want.
True though, true. General but true.
Okay, I can spill one. It's such an embarrassing one, but now the thing of it is just silly. The funny one is about the t-shirt saga. So like we had to create this CF shirt thing, and like there were conflicts about it. And then now, like a few months after that, I think about it, right? When Christ comes again, right? How insignificant this thing is, Like they'll be like, have we been serving faithfully? And now you look back at that t-shirt saga, I'm like, that's so silly, yeah.
Yeah, imagine like Christ comes again. Jesus, why that time our shirt too thick or too thin?
Jesus be like, hey, are you guys selling t-shirts or are you guys like serving the CF?
No.
Amazing design though. I was so excited to get it. I think Han's wearing it now. Hanz.
Yes.
he's doing great in promoting the CF t-shirt. I love the bag so much. Wow, who knew? You guys had a little conflict over that part. But yeah, even when you have the same goals, it's quite easy to have conflicts between each other also as human beings.
A word for the future comm is don't focus so much on the shit.
Let's take away from this podcast to the comm. Nice tea, Stephanie. Nice tea. Okay, here's the next question. How has serving in the committee, especially during MCO, helped you to grow as a believer in Christ? Maybe the biggest takeaway that you might get from that.
I think I'll say a general one and then a MCO related one. I think a general one is that serving in the committee really helps you to see what are the different needs that are in CF. I think that's something that is always mentioned or emphasized when we're in the committee. Like what are the needs of the CF? How can we meet those needs and things like that? It helped me to grow in thinking about, how can I be better identifying places where I can, serve better in the communities around me, not just CF, right? And I think not to say a big step, but like a decent staircase.
Yeah, decent
staircase in my growth. Yeah, and I guess with it being virtual, the needs are different. And because even though we are leaders, we suffer from the same thing lah. Okay, maybe not all of us, but for me, I procrastinate, I get lazy during the MCO and things like that. And I think being in a position to serve, it then helps you to think like, that you are going through this and other people are going through this as well. How can you then help others who are going through the same thing, that kind of thing. I mean, of course, you don't have to be in a leadership position in order to do that lah. But I guess by God's grace, during the circumstance, that was the thought that came.
I think the current comm when they listen to this podcast, they'll be like, every sentence you guys say is so relatable. Or they're like, you're preempting them for the future.
Yeah.
listen to Hanz, guys.
It taught me to be patient because from the committee point of view, then I have to disciple or mentor different people, and I get to have exposure to different people at different stage in their faith. So sometimes when I make gaps too fast, right, and then other people will tell me to slow down a bit because they might not get it. So yeah, so this would be my greatest takeaway, or the greatest thing I've learned is to be patient and to assist them to grow in an encouraging way. Yeah, it also taught me to be intentional, to stay true to the reason why I'm serving like no matter like my position, I'm faithful serving because of the right reason. Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Being patient, being patient with the comm, especially when you are like every Christian is different, or every person is different. So it's like you're trying to see from what kind of person, where this person is in their faith right now, and dealing or figuring things out through there, right?
Yeah. Especially for MCO, right? Like when you guys have Zoom meeting, committees are usually the one like spotlighted or like you guys see the first. And in physical, like committees are the backstage crew, like you don't really see them in front.
Yeah.
So when you're being put under the spotlight, right, you have to be reminded that to stay humble and to know that it's not about you, but it's to direct them to look at God. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's one different compared to physical CF.
Okay, I think I'll start with like a more general one first off. It's not something solid in the sense where actually serving in the committee helped me reflect a lot on myself, like my intentions on doing things. It's most definitely because of the people like be Sophia or like a few of our other committee members as well. Whenever maybe things like when we start getting into very into the planning or like when we're doing things, there'll always be someone who comes and like, okay, like everyone stop and just realign our focus on like why we do what we do. And throughout like this exercise, I think it's kind of like exercising, like through organizing, let's say, these activities or going through these things. And then because we always stop and think about it, so now like it has even kind of seeped into my life in a way where I actually think about these things like more often now. Like, okay, so I try to analyze, not analyze lah, but I just think about like my intentions while like doing things more often, like whether it's for Christ or whether it's for me or for others. So yeah, I think that's my takeaway.
Being in the committee and experiencing the whole thing, especially hardware 2 years, you guys, you guys need to go so deep into what you've learned.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
it's a real it's something else the experience of serving in a community and things like that.
Definitely, for sure. Especially you guys are behind the scenes in all the events that happen, all the little things like the t-shirt or the online events and stuff like that, right? Okay, thank you guys. Here is the very last question. In terms of what we collected, how do you guys deal with burnout?
I can go first. So I prevent burnout from happening so that I don't deal with burnout. So this is for my own case, but for my case, while I was serving in comm, I didn't experience burnout. It's not a flex, but like before becoming a comm, I had this period, like this season in my life where to really build like a firm foundation, a solid relationship with God. So like spending time with him and also like not just to like there to like gain like intellectual knowledge about like Bible studies and stuff like that, but really to soak in his presence. So burnout happens when you commit to too many things and you're strained or exhausted. So I constantly ask myself the motive behind why I'm serving and my source of strength. Because when your motive is like to maybe to glorify yourself or like to make other people adore you, right? It's serving with the wrong intention. And if your source of strength is from yourself instead of God, you are basically relying on your own self, which your fuel will run out in the end. But from God, it will constantly overflow and like it will pour out to you. I mean, yeah, you feel exhausted, but you never feel like you like dried up or like burn out. Yeah. So like take frequent rest, like by spending time with God. And also to lay down your burdens. So for committees, right? Like during the semester when everything like your assignments and everything started to come in so you will feel that burden. But always lay your burden down before God and like to like God, I surrender, you just, take it out, like help me, give me strength. And other than that, like a more practical one is to delegate your tasks. So like just like how like Moses was like leading the people out of Egypt, right, to the promised land and how he was the leader. But then like he was taking everything and the father-in-law said like you should delegate your tasks. So there is wisdom in delegating your tasks. Like know when to say no when you have a lot on your hands already, so that you don't commit too much. And like this is important because like for me a small story is that what people would say is, why can't you just reach out to this person? You just take 10 minutes. So you give 10 minutes to this person. And people say the same thing for every other person. So you're just giving 10 minutes for another person, and you'd be like, it's just 10 minutes. Why can't I do it? In the end, you're just like torn apart. Like everyone needs you everywhere. And that's one way where like you will experience burnout, is because there's no more time for you to rest and everyone wants a bit of you. Yeah. So that's for me. Yeah.
Preach, girl, preach. Yeah, that would be quite relatable for people who are going through burnout. They always feel like, they need to be here and there, but each task seems so small, that kind of thing. And yeah, super relatable, Stephanie.
I'll say I'm still learning how to deal with burnouts because I'm more of a lazy person more than a very hardworking person. But I think I've had more burnouts 2 years ago when I was the first time serving in committee, because like fresh, exciting, take a lot of things, right? I guess two lessons to learn. One that I had, right, or two advice that I got from other people. First one is to remember the Mary and Martha story, which is kind of what Stephanie talked about. Story where Martha was busy serving, preparing food and things like that when Jesus was there, but Mary was right at Jesus's feet, right? So I think, having that time spent with God, your personal time sanctifying yourself, is really, really important, because I realized, throughout my first year serving, really, it's true that you just give, and you don't receive. End up you have nothing to give. I thought it was just like, I can't one lah, right? God will sustain, that kind of thing. But if you don't honor God in that sense, that you don't make time for Him, end up it will just be you trying to, do all these ministries by your own strength, which really isn't what serving is about lah. A second thing that helps gradually as I go into this year was to know very clearly what my role is in the committee, and that helped to, to make the decisions in what to take and what not to take. So like as a CEO, what is my primary role? Am I here to, take care of everybody's welfare, which is another committee member's job, not mine? Or am I here to, stick my nose into CG stuff or things like that, right?
Yeah.
After identifying that, okay, I'm here to take care of the library, take care of the discipleship, and then as a CG leader to take care of the CG, then I think that puts things into perspective. Like it makes it easier to say no to other things. Yeah. So those are my literally 2 cents.
Okay, so for me, I can't exactly remember how it exactly happened. But I think that's the thing, you don't really know how burnouts really do start. It just kind of piles up. Yeah. So I'm kind of like a person who doesn't really take note on how I'm doing personally. Like I don't really like sit down and like, I'm feeling happy today. I don't make like mental notes on myself or like how someone else is doing something like that. So one of the things that I kind of learned throughout me serving was that I don't know how much is too much. Yeah, kind of like how Stephanie said, you think like, oh, like it just takes 10 minutes. So you're like, oh, okay. So you just take up that. And something else comes out and you're like, oh, okay, I think I have some time. So yeah, and you take something else. And I would say that I don't particularly have a lot of things on my plate. I didn't even know that I was nearing a burnout until someone else was like, no, you have a lot on your plate right now. You should stop. And then I was like, really? Yeah, I actually asked the person, I was like, really? No, it's just very funny. Yeah, and then at one point, I would say that I didn't exactly burn out, but I was nearing that point. Basically, something happened, and then I told myself, okay, I think this is what people call a burnout. So yeah, I had to literally turn off everything. And I would just say, I cry. Okay, maybe this is a burnout already, but okay, I'm just saying that. I cry very easily, by the way, yeah. But it's such a release when you cry. Okay, there's no shame in crying. So yeah, and I usually find someone to talk to. This is what I do. yeah, because like even by talking to the person who told me that I was taking up too much things, I talk out with people. Let's say when something comes up and I'm like, or something maybe it's just not going our way or something like that. And I find people to talk to. Most of the times my mom. Yeah. And then after we had a talk, and then we just pray. Lor. We just submit it to God in prayer. And well, it doesn't just go away. It takes some time and self-reflection as well. Yeah. This is I can say how I kind of got through. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it varies for everyone now.
But that is definitely a good way to put it, to emotionally just let it all out. Doesn't it? Yeah, you're right, Faith. There's no shame in crying.
Yeah, I think also like what Faith mentioned about having someone to talk to is a really good way, I think, of dealing with burnouts. Because at that time you'll be filled with so many different things, right? Oh, I have this assignment I need to finish by tomorrow. I have this thing to do for this event this Friday, that kind of thing. And I
Yeah.
think getting someone to pray for you will, help you remember that God is still there, God is still watching over you, God is still willing to help you go through whatever struggles that you're facing with, that kind of thing. And I think even when everything is burning, like Christelle's background, um, just having that small little space of maybe 1 or 2 hours just to reset your mind, I think it's a fair thing to give yourself. Yeah.
It's very comforting.
Mm.
Yeah. The first time someone texted me, "Is there something I can pray for you about?" Literally, literally everything inside just went whoosh. Yes, so that is a wrap. Thank you guys again so much for all of your answers and your encouragement. It was really a blessing to have you guys as guests. To those listening, hope you guys were enlightened and blessed by today's podcast. So before we pop off, just a little reminder that we also have Night Prayer Union and game sessions on Thursdays, and we love to see you guys there. We love to connect you there. Keep updated from our social media accounts on Instagram and FB. Yeah, so that is all from me. Hope to see you guys soon. Stay safe, stay hopeful, and keep praying, guys. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank
Bye.
you. Bye.